Hello everyone, welcome back to Roughing the Competition. My name is Brant and this is Trevor, and today we'll be looking at the SEC Conference Outlook.
Yeah, so far we've covered all the other power conferences. Most recently we took a long look at the Big Ten, and both of us had OSU running the table there. Now the SEC is the creme de la creme of the conferences. Whether you like it or not, they're just that good. With that in mind, let's go ahead and look at how this conference broke down from a divisional aspect. Brant, how's the East broke down?
The East is broken down into Georgia, University of Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee.
Yeah, and as far as the West side, we have teams like Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, LSU, both the Mississippi schools, and even though some people want to see them gone after this season, Arkansas still exists.
Oh, they do, don't they?
Yeah, they
I
do.
keep forgetting.
They do. Well, with that, we're going to go and get rolling here. And Brant, let's start with the SEC East. A lot of people think Georgia's going to run away with this. How are you feeling on that? Do you think Georgia can run away with it, or do you have them?
I do think they're going to win this SEC
Okay.
East, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think.
Okay.
Now, I do have them at 11-1, with their only loss coming to LSU here this weekend.
Yeah, which if you saw our CFB edition for the week, looking at the matchups, we both got LSU winning this.
Anyways, I just think Georgia's way too balanced here with Fromm at 1,200 yards on the season and Holyfield at 7.4 yards a carry.
Okay.
I think their balanced offense just takes over
Okay.
the SEC East. And with Kentucky, I think Benny Snell is still a monster. Even though he's had a rough couple games, 724 yards and 8 touchdowns is nothing to joke about.
Yeah.
Now, as far as a little bit further down the list, Missouri, as you can see, I got them here at number 5, which is kind of a slap in the face. So it seems like a lot of Missouri fans.
Yeah, really, with Missouri, it comes down to whether or not you're a Drew Lock fan. A lot of people are, and a lot of people think he can maybe get them to winning that East.
Now, I have them here with 6-6, 3-5. The SEC's tough.
Yeah.
They have a tough schedule. They do have a nice three-headed monster there at running back with Crockett, Roundtree, and Beatty. Two of them have over 350 and the other one 230 yards on the ground. So they have a nice trio of running backs, and Locke does have almost 1,500 yards on the season.
Yeah.
I just don't think with their schedule coming up that they're going to be as tough.
Okay. Anything else you want to point out from the East?
Not really. Florida Franks, 1,100 yards, kind of pedestrian.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at my East. I don't have a whole lot of difference here. I got Florida, Kentucky flipped. I do have Georgia winning out. Well, not necessarily winning out. They're going to win it. I have them losing LSU this week. I also got Auburn sneaking in there and still in a game.
Ooh.
And here's why. There's a stretch after they play LSU and get through their bye where they play Florida at home, go to Kentucky, and then they're back home for Auburn. Florida's going to be emotional. Kentucky's probably going to wrap up the East for them. Auburn's going to be a trip up because Auburn's going to need to make a stamp on their season. And this is where Malzahn can do it with that offense. Stidham's going to want to make a statement going into the bowl season and into the draft. He's not going to win the West. Tell you more on that later. But he can make a statement here by beating Georgia, and I think he does that. On top of that, looking at the rest of this side, I mean, after you got Georgia finishing 10-2, Kentucky's going to finish nice, but they're going to lose to Missouri and Georgia. They're not as good as they look. They're one of these teams should be 8-4 most years, but an easy schedule and beating Florida helps them a lot. So they're going to roll out an easy end with Tennessee, Mid-Tennessee, and Louisville all being wins. Florida is going to continue being strong, but that loss to Kentucky and their loss coming up to Georgia is going to sink them. The only other thing I got here to mention, watch Missouri. I know I have them down, but they can play havoc through the whole SEC. They have a game with Bama this week, and then they still have a matchup later on with Florida. They steal either one of those games, and they can play havoc on both teams' season, which, as we see a lot of times in the SEC, you lose a big game, your next opponent needs to be scared because you're going to come out with a vengeance, and you're not going to mess up twice in a row. Now, with that said, we'll go ahead and turn our attention to the West side. Brant, what's your West look like?
I have Bama going undefeated here.
Okay.
Tua Tagovailoa is 18 touchdowns and 0 interceptions on the season.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
For me, it is. I mean, I don't know about you, but...
Well, I mean, consider the fact a lot of games he's left before even the fourth quarter hit because he's been that dominant.
Yes. And they also have two nice running backs there, Najee Harris and Damian Harris.
Okay.
382 and 361 yards apiece. and with 6.8 yards per carry and 7.1. That's pretty good on the ground, but of course you have Tua back there. You kind of got to respect that passing game. I got LSU here going number 2 here.
Okay. I'm guessing their loss is the Bama coming up too?
Yes.
Okay.
Bama coming up. I do think they're going to win every other game. Georgia, like we already talked about.
Yeah, we talked about Georgia for this week.
I just think Burrows is still steady. 1,217 yards isn't great, but only 2 interceptions on the game, on the season. Sorry, on the game last week.
Yeah.
I think he gets it back. I don't think he has very many more on the season, and I think Brissett needs to get it going though. He's only averaging 4.7 yards a carry right now.
Yeah, he was big in the Miami game earlier this year. They pulled the upset, and he kind of kept them in Auburn, which set up Burrow to make those game-winning drives for them.
But Cole Tracy, clutch.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say on that.
I will agree with that. He is very clutch. But do you see anybody else causing some havoc there? Auburn or Texas A&M, Mississippi State?
Maybe Auburn. I don't see a whole lot with Auburn's offense, but I do have their defense. 10 people have already recorded a sack on that defense.
They do run a lot of blitz packages.
It is ridiculous.
They are famous for that.
They are pretty ridiculous, though.
Okay, with that said, let's look at my West. Now, I'm in kind of a similar boat. I think this comes down to Bama, LSU. A lot of that's because we've already seen Auburn drop 2 games. One to LSU, and then they got beat up by Mississippi State. Doesn't mean Auburn's dead. It just means that everyone else in their path, such as Georgia, needs to watch out for them. Mm-hmm. But even with that said, I don't see them causing any problem to Bama at the end of the year. Bama's only loss, I think, is going to come after that bye at LSU. And it's mainly because LSU is kind of this team that they're going to have a bye week before, and they've already played big games. This is essentially Bama's first real big game. A&M played them tough. Missouri's going to play them tough. But for Bama, there hasn't been like that real top-end competitor that they expected to come out and play them. LSU will bring that to them, and I think Orgeron wants to prove with this LSU squad, he's not comfortable being number 2 in the West. He wants to win the West. He wants to show Saban, I am as good as you, and I can coach as good as you, and I'm going to beat you to prove it. So with that said, that's going to allow LSU to sneak out the West, and I think that's going to make you Tide fans feel a little bad, but there's some hope there, and there's a good reason why you should be happy.
We'll see.
But the only other thing I'd watch here is I think Auburn finishes strong. They're going to beat Georgia, but they're going to drop the Bama. Georgia will be be that complimentary win. Texas A&M lost to Clemson by 2. Played tough with Alabama for the most part. They have games left against both Auburn and LSU. They win both those, they're right in this discussion too.
Yeah. I
don't see them winning them, but they're that dark horse like Missouri is in the East to where, hey, we can rattle a few cages here if we just surprise somebody.
And their running back there, Travion Williams, has 720 yards on the ground.
Exactly. They're a talented bunch. Fisher's got a lot to look forward to in the next couple years.
My big question here, though, is Gus Malzahn on the hot seat if he doesn't win one of those big games?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, as tough as the West is, I think, if anything, the top 5 teams are probably going to be safe at coaching. It'll be here in a year or so. Will we see any seats heat up? I mean, this is just, honestly, you take top 5 here, place them in any other conference, and if they're not winning, they're number 2 or 3 in every other conference, period.
That's good.
Yeah. So with that said, we'll look at the title games now. Brant, you got Bama versus Georgia. Do you see Bama continuing that strong arm push and putting Georgia to bed, or does Georgia surprise everyone and whoop Bama?
I do see Alabama winning this game.
Okay.
I don't want to see Alabama win this game, but I do think they do. Tua is just amazing. He's the Heisman hopeful candidate. Yeah. I think he's leading the race, and that's coming from West Virginia Will Grier fan. That's hard to say. Don't even give me that look.
Sorry, I'm not a side.
Don't even give me that look. But yeah, I just see Bama winning this.
Yeah, I mean, I see that from your perspective. But on my end, Bulldogs fans get excited because I know I gave you 2 losses. LSU, you're going to beat Georgia this week. You're going to beat Bama. It's going to be a heck of a year for you. Even at 2 losses, it's going to be hard to keep you out of the playoff race because you're going to have wins over Miami, wins over Auburn, wins over Bama, a win over Georgia. Problem is you're going to lose to Georgia here. You're basically playing the game on home turf if you're Georgia. It's going to be in the Dome. You're going to win, but both these teams, it's going to be hard to keep them out of the playoff picture, same as Bama. And we'll have to see how that shakes out. And a lot of this game will just simply be Georgia's got home field advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. which that's going to wrap up our look at the SEC. Now, we've wrapped up our look at the Power Fives. We do have one more edition coming that's going to look at a few teams that aren't in the Power Fives that we'll just look at their chances. Maybe USF, Cincy, see what we think their seasons will shake out to be since they're both undefeated. And UCF and Notre Dame, can they make some noise? Can they get into the playoff picture? We'll also, in that episode, show you how we have the playoff picture looking right now. It's going to be a quick look. We're just going to show you what we have. You guys will have to tell us if you agree or disagree with us.
Exactly. And follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm going to keep telling you. Hit the subscribe button that's over there, or somewhere. You know what to do.
I don't think he doesn't realize this isn't a Facebook page or anything, but it's cool. Yeah, you keep pressing it. I'm going to buy you a like button. All right, guys. It's been fun.
See you later, guys.
Thank you.